Alright, welcome back to another Ultimate How to Be a Pro in Strife Battlefield guys series. Now, this is a follow-up of my previous video. We talked about the team forming in the meta. We talked about the team forming some. We just talked about it. We never did it. So in this video, we're actually going to be doing the team forming. I talked about the Mel build. I talked about the Ian build. I talked about the Armas build, the fundamentals, and how it's built, and altars and relics and things like that, and why we build the way we do, and what we're going after, and the reasonings and the fundamentals. Now, by all means, there's a lot of variations in this. There's the Patros variation. There's the Isaac, the Ath, you know, all these flex heroes that you kind of see interchangeable. And as long as, just kind of reiterate what I was talking about in my previous video, as long as you have the fundamentals down, you can adjust it however you see fit. Like, say you want to run one East hero, or you don't want the Mara, then you can put a Patros in, or you don't want to run Void, you put a Mason or what have you. There's a lot of creative freedom in there. So as mentioned, we're going to go with the male build. Okay, fundamentally, it's about the same in terms of forming. Okay, boys, and you can apply it to the other builds. I'm not going to be running through everything, but in particular in this video, I'm focusing on team forming and what you should be doing at the early game, because early game is the most important time frame in Strife Battlefield. Is early game. Okay, boys. If you don't know what you're doing in early game, you're just not, that is from taking you from noob status to pro status. Okay, boys. So that's me telling you. So we might be playing the early game like maybe like a few times, just so I can get the point across and what you're striving for. Okay, boys. And it's down to RNG. So the whole idea is to reduce the RNG as much as possible and trying to make it into our favor. Okay, boys. So we're going to be doing that. We're not going to be doing an entire game, but I can kind of show you generally how it's built, but I kind of wanted to focus on early game building, and it applies to any comp that you're playing. Okay, boys, because it mainly focuses on how you're supposed to be econing, and when are you supposed to be doing things, because of the timings. Okay, if you're not doing it correctly, you're gonna be struggling. You're gonna be struggling. So next video, I'm gonna actually do a real game in the ladder, you know, try to climb a game, you know, and kind of use my Armas comp and how I do things, so you can just kind of, without me explaining, and just kind of seeing what it looks like when you just kind of you do top meta stuff. Okay, without much explaining. It's not me just explaining a bunch of stuff all the time. And then we'll probably wrap up the entire playlist guide series with a strat tier list, which is going to be fun. Now, before we get into it, I know, I mean, this is a guide series. I yap. Okay, I got a yap. So the game plan. So as you know, when we go into game, we have to hit the ground running. Okay, boys, we have zero time to do much thinking. So the idea is that you play enough to get this in a routine where it's second nature to you. Okay, boys. So the idea right off the get-go is to summon as much as you can in econ. When I say econ, so like there are a lot of levels here in knowledge. So when I say econ, you want to sell tier 4s. Okay, a TLDR, sell tier 4s. You don't want to lose money. You want to gain money. Hopefully you get lucky and double up, right? That means money gained, right? Essentially. So you want to econ and spam as much as possible. The units that you want on the field are East heroes, right? So the first 6 rounds, 5 or 6, are super important, okay, for your form. All right, you guys follow me? So you want on the board 3 East heroes, but on top of that, you're trying to build your main carry, in which case Mel. Okay. And by round, I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe, before the blacksmith round, I think it's round 4, before the blacksmith round, you want a tier 5 Mel. And that is where our blue book comes into play. Okay. So before the blacksmith round, I think it's round 4 or 5, I forget. You want a tier 4 Mel, blue book it to tier 5. And the reason why is because we're fishing for medals from the blacksmith round and the merchant round to get a tier 7 main carry right off the get-go, right? That is the dream. 9 times out of 10, you don't get medals. And most of the time you get a tier 6. Okay, boys? Low row is a tier 5 usually. So, but the East hero part is to force Sacred Blessing for our first strat, and the first strat kicks in at round 5 or whatever, right? Round whatever round it is. Okay, we'll get into it, but I just kind of want to talk about our game plan before we actually did it, because I'm not able to explain it as I go as quick as I can because the rounds go by so quick. So just know that we are trying to econ, put 3. This is our game plan. We're gonna put 3 East heroes on the field, get the first strat roll. Try to get Sacred Blessing. If we don't, whatever. Okay, I usually say whatever. And then get tier 4 Mel, whatever means necessary. If I have to break econ, I'll freaking do it. Do whatever it takes to get a tier 4 Mel. Blue book at the tier 5. Blacksmith round comes up. Hopefully I get a medal, and then next round hopefully I get a medal, and then we start expanding and then putting units on the field. That is literally the game plan. Now you can rewind this video and play back and write down what I just said, but that is, I just kind of want to talk to you guys to tell you that is our game plan going in. So because it goes by very quickly. Remember our game plan. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is summon. So we're trying to get 3 East heroes. This is the bot game, okay? So it's nothing crazy. Okay, so summon twice and chill. And usually you buy something. I either get goblins that have silver or rerolls. Because you want silver because you're trying to get a lot of units. So I always fish for goblin scavengers that give silver, and then I reroll to see if I see another one. I lock it right for next round. I summon a bunch. I see my East heroes. I got 3 already, so I leave it there. I use my goblin to get more silver. I get more econ. I combine to get double up. I save this. Okay, I save it because I don't want to force the strat level fast. Okay. Now, the reason why, like right now, it doesn't matter. I can use it. But in the case that I don't have 3 East heroes on the field before this box, then I don't want to like force that strat level up, right? And so I summon. Cool. I re-roll to see if I can get more scavengers. I don't. I use this to econ. I don't see my Mel yet. So I'm going to have, I know for a fact that later on, double up because cool. Later on, when it hits it's round 4. When it hits this, I force whatever I can to get Mels. Now, when like I said, you need 3 East heroes to proc the blessing, a chance to come up. In my experience, as long as you have 3 East heroes before you actually click this button, you're good. So right here, I have to do this. Okay, so I proc it, and then I see if I get sacred. Do I get sacred? I do. I click that. Now I get I do whatever I can to get Mel. There's a Mel. I just need Mel on the field right now. I don't care if I gotta think. Hold on, boys. Hold on. Boom. Double up. Lucky. Boom. That's it. Easy. Done. So by round 4, this is like ideal. Okay, I have a tier 5 Mel with Sacred Blessing. Okay, boys, this is like perfect world. So this is blacksmith round. I'm hoping for a medal. Please medal. Medal. Boom! Medal. Tier 6. So now next round is a merchant. Okay. Next, at the end of this round, it will be a merchant. So at this point, this is perfect world. Okay. At this point, I just expand. Okay, I expand. So I try to get, well, here, I'm trying to maximize my tokens here. So I'm just going to do this and just do this, I guess, and then do this. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter as much. Sure. So next round in the merchant, maybe I am double crossing my fingers that a medal appears. And this is like perfect game scenario, boys. Perfect game. All right, boys. Let's see, metal. No, but I get a blue book. Now, blue book, you can buy a blue book, but honestly, I'll stick with a tier 6 mel and I'll use it to expand. And the reason why we expand is that we want to essentially be high form. And whoops, I was meaning to get that. So I'll get that. And I'm just gonna put some units on the board. I'm actually gonna sell this to put another unit on the board. Do that. Cool. Do that. Cool. Buy some stuff. Stack some attack speed and some defense. And boom, we're chilling. Okay, boys? Boom, we're chilling. That's early game. Your goal is to get Sacred Blessing and a high tier unit and try to bank on those medals. Okay, boys? That is early game. You can apply that to literally any comp. You do that for Armis comp, you do that for Ian comp, you do that for any comp, okay? You do it for any comp. And that's it. That's it, man. That's it. So that's early game. After early game, if you didn't get Sacred Blessing, you can kind of keep an eye on your next strat. Before your next strat comes up, because it's going to be hard, it's going to keep on getting harder and harder to get strat levels up, because it requires a lot of XP to level up. So you really want to get it like early on. So to get it, you need to be sure you have 3 East heroes on the field at all times. And in my experience, I don't know if it's true or not, but the higher tier that your East heroes are, the higher likely it is to appear. So take that with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's just by chance, but in my experience, the higher tier, like if you tiered ones on the field, you increases those odds. And also, if you leveled up on leveled up strat level, right? And this thing is like blinking, right? If you didn't click it yet, you can actually move units from the field and then click it, and then it will still apply. I promise you, it happened to me, and I'm pretty sure that's true. I'm pretty sure. So just keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it in mind. So, yeah. And yeah, that's after this point, you're either leveling up. It's kind of raid mentality, basically. You want to get a max tier mel. You want to get one. The idea is that we're gonna get a bunch of lunaires around here, right? So here, where this one is, right? We're gonna stack them all, and one of those needs to be our main lunaire that has, like, all of our staffs and whatnot, right? That's the idea. And then we get our 3 Taesons and 2 Herangs. We have Sacred Blessing, but it's not activated, so it's grayed out. If you can read this, all heroes recover max MP every 5 seconds and deal 20% more damage when 5 or more East region heroes are assigned to the battlefield. So right now we have it, but our things aren't insta-casting because we don't actually have 5 East heroes. The only reason why Taeson and Haerang is insta-casting is because we actually got this strat that gives us Blood Giant Mage, 10 levels. And as you can see, it's 15, 15, 15, 10, 15. So that was our backup plan. Remember, that was our backup plan in case we didn't get Sacred, right? In case we low rolled it, right? So there's that. So usually you want to do attack speed on Mel, right? I'm just clicking random stuff, boys. I'm clicking random stuff. Let's build our comp out a little more. So usually it's like something like this. I don't have another East region hero. Hopefully double up. Nope. No double up. And that's pretty much it. We just chill. Honestly, we just chill. Now, the reason why Armis comp is so good is because he's really good against bosses. And it doesn't matter what bosses get sent to you. So any boss besides the hardest person that he has with is probably Sargala to some extent because of the lock animations. And the newest one, the Dragonite one. Dragonite 1 is pretty well, the Dragonite 1 is good against mighty blocks in general, and that's he's literally designed to like be good against mighty blocks and stuff. So that one is pretty difficult. But yeah, like other comps, they kind of have a hard time depending on what boss, right? Like the chapter 11 boss, the 2-1 boss has reflect a lot of like straight damage heroes, kind of like say like I played Hanzi in Strife one season, it actually worked, but the hard counter was Manuel and the chapter 11 boss. So it's like a hard counter, right? And for Armis, there isn't really a hard counter, like oh, this player is playing hero. All I have to do is send this boss to him and he's dead, right? So in the past, there was a lot of mentality around that where it's like, this hero is playing this. So all I have to do is send this monster and they'll die, right? Nowadays is not much of it because of how they adjusted curses over time where they don't kick in until like 5 seconds in or whatever. So it kind of bypassed those mentalities. So that is why those are good. Yeah. And then I'm gonna do that. So now, as you can see, if I take it off, you can see it's grayed out, right? And then if I put head on in, then it lights up and boom, now it's good. So usually for chat, so this is the curses I was telling you about in in the previous video. These are cursed curses, right? The race curse, and it's like worse versions. Round 12 are the pool guys, and these guys, they're pretty bad, pretty hard to get or hard to deal with, right? So usually you want to put units in the back so it gets pulled and things like that, so you don't get destroyed. So you kind of have to be familiar with round monsters, right? So, yeah. So I usually do this and try to econ as much as possible. Sure. I usually keep my Bardry to tier 3 usually. Then at this point, I'm trying to get a tier 7 melt, but I kind of wanted to show you the general direction of how to build the comp, and then you can like take that and apply it to your games, right? And that's the general idea. So there's that. And if you're running Patros and stuff, you can adapt, right? You can figure it out. It's not that hard. You can figure it out, guys. You can do it. I believe you. Boom. Right. Boom. So I don't want to put any more East heroes because I have enough to satisfy the condition, right? And the Ian comp is very similar in layout. It's literally almost the same. You always kind of see this cookie cutter setup. And that's the name of the game, boys. That is it. Executes really strong as well. And experiment with the positions of your Taisons and stuff. You definitely over time have your preferences, right? So do that. Expand, do this. And I should die this round because I'm on heat 263, streak of 6. This is usually death. Usually death. Now it's a bot game, so they're not really sending a lot of crap to me. So you can go up to like probably between 6 and 8. Early game you can get to 8 for sure. But that's about as high of a streak you can pretty much reach nowadays. Boom, boom, boom. And technically, I usually like to put, if I'm running Mara, I usually put 3, which means that 3 will get a clone, each of them will get a clone off. So if all of them die, then I'll get 6 deaths. So I just need one more thing to die to get max stacks, right? Because I could stack up to 7, right? Or you can run, or by the way, the Hierophant one is probably the best one in the game, because it is essentially a medal for your highest tier. So FYI, probably one of the best fates in the game, for sure. Or you can just not pick it because you have it, or that, you know, your pick. Boom. So now we have all of our lunaires, and we're just chilling. Just chilling. You can see the CC lock. And instead of the Herang, a lot of people, or some people rather, use Priya. But then you're down an East region hero, so if you're running a Serang, then that satisfies your 2 East heroes to try to force that East blessing early. So there's some options. Priya is definitely a better stun locker. But other than that, you know, it'd be how it do. It'd be how it do. All right. So let's just buy some stuff, put on the field. I'm just gonna look to get 3 Maras. So let's sell some of this. Honestly, getting a high Tayson is not really advisable per se. So here's that. So I'll just sell it to get better things in life, right? Boom. And this is the meta, boys. Or this is like the fundamentals, right? I should say, the fundamentals. This is like your typical cookie cutter Strife build. And this is how you build it. And like I said, early game is like the most important. A lot of people don't really understand how to do that early game per se. And what I showed you, it literally applies to every early game. You aim for Sacred Blessing, and you get a tier 5 unit before the medals pop up, right? Before Blacksmith round, right? That's fundamental. If you don't get Sacred Blessing at the beginning, no worries. You can always get it later, right? You can always get it later, boys. You can always get it later. So boom, we're just gonna buy some stuff. And then I'm going to save these. So when I die, they'll actually, this is like the last tier before it upgrades to the boss, right? So I'm going to keep these. I can show you guys that. I'll get a tier 7 of that. And then we're chilling. So we are trying to get, right now we're trying to get a high tier Lunaire. So we're just going to upgrade all of our Lunaires and chill, you know? All Lunaires and chill. Why not? If you're running Patros, you put him in the middle, and you can play around with that. And just make sure you're leveling him up, right? Because his range goes up as his tiers go up. Gives more benefits as well. And after this game, I'm going to be doing a video on a real game using Artemis and kind of showing you the pretty much the same thing. I'm literally doing the same exact stuff as I'm showing you here. Literally the same, boys. Literally the same. It's nothing different. I'm actually doing the same crap. Same stuff. And you might be saying, hey, Knob, that's pretty boring. Well, guess what? Welcome to Strife Battlefield. Welcome to the meta. If you don't like playing the meta, well, I mean, the best I can do is show you the meta, boys. Okay, boys? That's the best I can do. It's the best I can do. I can only show you the meta. Whether you want to play the meta, that's up to you. But I gotta show you what's being played and how it's being played. Okay, this is how the mode is getting played. And my ulterior motive, is that hopefully everyone knows how to play Strife, so that AWESOMEPIECE changes it for the better. Because as long as this mighty block meta exists and how the mechanics and why it enables it, as long as it exists, the damage, it nullifies so many heroes and so many like creativity, right? You need to be able to utilize mighty blocks. And if you're a scaling hero, it's a no-brainer, right? So there's not much to do the damage reduction builds. Like if damage reduction builds isn't a thing anymore, then you know, it's like, okay, mighty blocks, right? So like my ultimate hope is that AWESOMEPIECE, like a lot of people start playing the way that everyone is playing, right? And they have a lot of data on that or what have you. And that they're just like, yeah, we need to change how this is fundamentally played, because everyone's playing the same crap. Everyone's playing the same things. Meta never changes. And everyone's doing mighty blocks. Everyone's just playing the three same heroes, and they're playing the game in a certain way where it's the same. So I'm gonna do this real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Put this, put that. Tier. Cool. Bye. You can still buy when it's like not, you know. So right here, I should 100% die because I'm on a streak 5, right? With 346 heat. And the only reason why that is because I'm playing against bots and they're not really doing much to me. They're not affecting my game plan, right? In a real game, they're sending all sorts of crap at you. Okay, so yeah. So in this scenario, I am expecting to lose. There is no way I would be able to win because the enemies have so much health, and then there's overtime as well, right? That's why Kadam is not that great, right? Anymore, at least, that her evasion scales with overtime, right? So she can't just evade all the time. The evasion rate reduces as time goes on. So there's overtime, and when a hero, if you haven't killed the boss anymore, you lose, right? So that's how that works. So yeah, that is it. That is team forming in a nutshell. Hopefully that makes sense. But that general layout that you saw at the end there, that is pretty much the cookie cutter build. You have a carry surrounded by a bunch of lunaires. You have Birctreel in the middle. Make sure all your lunaires are linked to your Ian or Mel, and then you have your 3 Taesons with 2 Herang or what have you, your East heroes, and then you have your Void Stackers if you're running Void Stackers. If you're not running Void Stackers, you're running a Patros in the middle, and he's just proccing everything and shielding everybody and giving them buffs and all that, and that is basically the cookie cutter. Okay, boys. Anyway, hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight. In the next video, I'm going to be going to do a Artemis real competitive live game, and just using what I'm using, and literally it's the same thing, just to show you guys how it is done on like just in a real environment. And then after that, we're probably going to end off with a strat tier list. That's going to be pretty freaking fun, boys. So anyway, stay tuned for that one. As always, thumbs up if you liked this, subs if you loved it, and I'll see you next one, boys. Later.